how to enjoy driving without speeding. Let me outline the problem for you first. In today's world, it's very difficult to have fun in a car without exceeding the speed limit. You've got speed cameras. You see the sign for it just over there. A lot of our roads, such as the motorway that I'm currently on, are heavily policed. There are static speed cameras and there are mobile speed cameras that will post up at random locations to catch you out. In this video, I'm going to go through 3 main ways to enjoy driving without either speeding or getting caught speeding. Police reported ahead. This is what I'm talking about. The problem also has a secondary layer to it, which is that today's cars are too fast. Now, I'm very fortunate. I've got an M2. Who am I to complain about cars being fast, right? There's 500 horsepower in here. But your normal car is also too fast. A lot of cars are hybridized and electrified. And even your bog standard car these days with a 1.6 litre engine will have circa 250 or 300 horsepower. Now that is, in my opinion, too much power to have fun on the road. But we'll talk about that and some of the other factors for having fun driving a little bit later in the video. Okay, so the first thing that we have to talk about is location. This is not the right location for driving fast. There are no corners to interact and enjoy with your car. There's nowhere to change gear and actually have fun driving. The only thing you can do here is go 150 miles an hour and pretend you're on the Autobahn, which unfortunately in this country is illegal. So you will get caught speeding. There is no way to have fun on a motorway. So what you have to do is go and find some roads where the speed limit is a challenge. Let me show you some examples. Find yourself an area like this. This is the Snake Pass. And doing 50 miles an hour around this corner would have been very dangerous. But this is the kind of road where the speed limit is a challenge. The thing about roads like this as well is that you've got awesome scenery. If you've got better weather than we have today, then you can actually enjoy looking out and you don't necessarily want to drive as hard as possible. It's a big benefit of just going to nice places. Driving around the same roads, we might be driving to work or we might be driving to go shopping or whatever, see our family. There are all the reasons we always go for drives. Sometimes you want to have fun driving, you got to just make the time to have some fun. Me and Phil, who's driving the MX-5 in front of me, got up at 6:30 in the morning today. We were out on the road at 7 a.m. and now we're out doing this while we don't have too much traffic. It is a bit of a sacrifice, but it's what you have to do. Now you might notice the weather conditions are it can only be described as appalling, but this is by design, and I'll talk about this in the 3rd section of the video. But look at this, we're having fun. This is a 50 mile an hour road. It's fairly twisty. It's a mountain pass, so there's a bit of danger either side. But to be honest, you can take any car in the world, the biggest shitbox you can think of, and you can come up here and you can do 50 miles an hour around these corners. It's really not a crazy speed. There's also other types of roads that are not good for driving fast. This road doesn't have a center divider line, so it's really sketchy for trying to enjoy your car under the speed limit. Now, if you've got a smaller car, like Phil's MX-5, you can do a little bit better. Or if you've got really good visibility, you can cut the corners. And then you have more space on the road. But if you've got traffic coming the other way and you have to genuinely deal with situations, this is not an enjoyable road to drive fast on. Even though you might be driving within the speed limit, you're not going to be enjoying yourself because it's going to be too tight, it's going to be too stressful. There's a balancing act to find there. But look at this situation, like, this car is far too wide for this stuff. This is not enjoyable, this is not fun, you know? So you've got to find the right road. You've got to find roads where not only are you going to have fun and be able to enjoy it, and it's a good road, but it has all the right ingredients in terms of width and in terms of space. If you're on a road you don't know, leave the sat nav up so you can see what's coming up. That's a really good tip for anybody that enjoys driving and might be going to roads that you don't know. A great way to find good driving roads is to use the link below in the description. The website's called Best Biking Roads, but it is the best route planner that I've ever found. It's not some corporate thing, it's not a sponsorship, it's just some dude has made this website, and it's literally my favorite website for finding driving roads. I've made a whole video about it, which can be linked up here. That brings me quite neatly onto the second point, which is your choice of car. The car that I'm driving right now is aspirational for a lot of people, you know, M2, manual, very cool, right? But it's not the perfect car for today's drive. You can click the video up here. I've spoken at length about the downsides of the M2, the downsides of being too wide, the downsides of being too powerful, and that's all visible today, right? This car's a bit too wide to really have fun on this road. This car's probably a bit too powerful to really accelerate out of the corners. If you had something with short gearing, not much power, something like Phil's MX-5 for example, you might be having a little bit more fun on this road at 50 miles an hour. Now, if the speed limit here was 60 or 70, we might get closer to this car's limits, especially in the wet. And then we might be having a little bit more fun in this car. But the car you choose is incredibly important. And you have to remember there's lots of different types of driving roads. You might find something that's 5 minutes from your house that's really narrow and twisty, and then you might want a smaller car to really enjoy that road. You might go out to the mountains and find something like this where it's got a higher speed limit, and in that case you might want a bit more power. If you're up at elevation, you might want a turbocharged car. On this narrow road, a car like Phil's is absolutely perfect. You could have a little bit of fun. If you wanted to hang out the rear end of the car and go sideways around here, he could. There's enough space on these roads that he can do those things. In my car, unfortunately, there is just no space. You know, the car's really long and really wide. If I was to have it sideways on this road, it would take up the entire road. Now, the third thing you can do to make driving more interesting and more fun, and to have fun driving without speeding, is to make driving challenging. As you can tell by the conditions and the visibility distance, we've made driving challenging for ourselves here. You can barely see the corner that's coming up. It's obviously wet, so it's hard to get the power down. You're going to be fishtailing all over the place. But this is how you make driving more fun for yourself. You make it more challenging. And it's self-imposed, right? Nobody's telling us to go out on this miserable day in the wet with all this, what most normal people that are not car people would consider dangerous conditions. You know, you've got a drop over there, you go over that edge, it's a long day. But if you're a petrol head and you want to have fun within the speed limit, this is brilliant. Because the truth is, when you're going 50 around some of these corners, sometimes it can feel a bit boring. It can feel pretty pedestrian, the pace. But if you have these conditions, it suddenly feels a bit more on edge. You know, you're like, ooh, I can't see very far. Ooh, the road's a bit slippery. Ooh, there's a drop over here that I might die from. So use the weather as a challenge.